Hey everybody, I am Dr. Nelson, author of the Jade Code and founder of Life Discovery Wellness.
Hi, I'm Julie Nelson. I'm wife of a holistic doctor and mom of a gluten-free and dairy-free kid and founder of don'teatwheat.com.
Today, we're super excited, just to tell you a little bit about myself and the reason why we did gluten-free. We've started really on this big movement to help people. Really, at the bottom of all this is we want to help people. I still remember the first time I recommended to a patient, you've got to go gluten-free, because they were sensitive and they were having all these types of mental type problems, and we discovered that it was a problem with a gluten sensitivity leading from wheat, rye, barley, kamut, some of those things that cause gluten, the biggest one being wheat, the most common. And there's so many other things that we'll describe and discuss and explain about the problems with wheat and why it's causing such allergens, toxins, celiac disease, gluten intolerance, sensitivities. I also remember the first time when I went to a seminar that was when I was first introduced to this concept, and I still remember they were so proud about these gluten-free muffins, or I don't know, they were gluten-free bricks is what they really were. And it was an awful experience. And so honestly, we want to help you, because eating gluten-free and dairy-free, these different things, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be the dreaded gluten-free diet. Not at all like that.
So gluten-free actually runs in my family. I have two grandmothers that were allergic.
A gluten intolerance, gluten sensitivity.
So both sides of the family, they both had a hard time, and then also with dairy. So it's kind of, I was a little bit doomed to begin with, but I didn't really fully understand what was going on. I just thought I had digestive problems. I'm not quite yet a celiac, but I do eat mostly gluten-free. So that's kind of my background. And when I first got married to my husband, I thought, oh my goodness, I am going to be the best wife because I can make all these wonderful desserts and goodies and everything. And then I married someone who doesn't even eat dessert.
Well, I do eat desserts, just not very often. I'd rather eat real food,
Anyway, so I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And I remember I actually became gluten-free, and I was strictly gluten-free for 6 months. And I was going to the store and trying out all these different things, and we spent a lot of money. And I was thinking, this stuff is not very good. And I kept on biting into cookies and expecting a cookie.
Or into breads.
Yeah, but instead I would get sawdust or, all these different tastes that were not even satisfying.
And palatable. It just, same type of experience. And then what's interesting as well is our little daughter, she had a sensitivity to dairy, quite prevalent. Not only did we recognize that, I tested her clinically, but she would actually have little hives and bumps in combination with the wheat. And so consequently we decided obviously it's better for her to be able to grow, especially her intestines grow appropriately. So the hope is that if she does get, in our modern day world, wheat's in everything, dairy's in everything. So when she does get exposed now, what's really cool is she really doesn't have a problem. Some lady fed her a cheese nip or something the other day and she had no problem. So that's pretty cool, because oftentimes people will say, well, can you ever eliminate the gluten intolerance or the gluten sensitivity? And my answer is a definite yes. I believe everything can be healed. So
the reason why we feed our daughter that way is so that she can heal. So today we're going to be making gluten-free, dairy-free biscuits, baking powder biscuits. And so I'm just going to go through the ingredients real quick, introduce what we'll be using in this. First off, we're going to be using white rice flour, and I grind this myself. It's made from Calrose rice, and I find that I save so much money by grinding my own. So if you're thinking about investing in a grinder, do it, because you'll save a lot.
Calrose rice is the sticky rice. Oftentimes people call it sticky rice or Japanese rice. It's very nice for recipes because it often takes on the flavor of whatever the other flour is or taste is, and that's what's really nice about it, is it's not really aromatic like an Indian type rice or a basmati. It's just blends in very nicely.
The stickiness also helps hold it together, and so it's kind of a little secret. The next is potato starch, which is so different than potato flour, so stay away from that. Potato flour is more dense. It will make your biscuits turn out like rocks, paperweights. Potato starch is more like a cornstarch type of light and fluffy. I'm also using xanthan gum and baking soda, and then this is my cornstarch that I use. This brand in particular carries a line that's specifically non-genetically modified. And if you want to tell us a little bit.
Yes, this is so important, everyone. Non-genetically modified organism. What's happened is food geneticists have actually altered a lot of the grains, especially one of your top one, and that's why you're seeing so many sensitivities. Wheat, obviously. Also, you're going to see a lot with corn and soy. Obviously, this is cornstarch, and corn, they've actually shown that corn now, for years they made corn so they made it so bugs, when they would eat the corn or the root of the plant, it would disrupt their digestive tract. Well, for years the geneticists promised that it would not hurt humans. I'm sorry to tell you, it will. And that's how important this is. And we'll go more into that, but also with wheat, just a quick side note, genetically modified, the original ancient wheat had 14 chromosomes. The wheat today, our wheat, it's not even, I mean, we call it as a cover name wheat, it's not even wheat, but it has 42 chromosomes. And not only that, on these different DNA pairs of the chromosomes, geneticists have actually altered it. Think about this. If you look at old pictures, and you remember the song America the Beautiful, the amber waves of grain, we no longer have these tall amber waves of grain. They're 18 inches tall. Why? So that they can harvest them easier. So anytime you think about genetically modified or genetic modification, it's for greater yield. You know, they want to harvest more in a smaller amount of time. They want it to be resistant to harsh conditions like drought or other wet conditions. They want it to be resistant to pests, and also the third factor is part of the first factor is they want it to be easily harvested. Consequently, we become the pest when we ingest it. It disrupts our digestive tract, and you are going to see an increase, mark my words, a dramatic increase like no time ever before with allergies, with food sensitivities, and it just doesn't boil down to wheat. You'll spread across many other genres of food that you're going to start seeing this.
Okay, so let me just finish with the ingredients, and then we'll get started to cook. This is a pink salt. It's by a company called Premier Research Labs. It's a natural sea salt from Hawaii, so we're a little bit partial to it, but it's naturally pink, but it doesn't affect the color of your food. We also get our vinegar from them. It's a raw, organic, unpasteurized vinegar. Very, very excellent. We use applesauce in this recipe. It's actually a secret ingredient. Helps those biscuits be nice and moist. I use unsweetened organic applesauce. And then we also use shortening. And this shortening is non-hydrogenated and organic. Preferably find a shortening that's non-hydrogenated, but the organic is optional. It's up to you.
Look for organic. Remember, if it just says all natural, it doesn't mean it's organic.
So in gluten-free cooking, I found that it saves you so much money because some of the ingredients can add up to make your own rice milk, make your own almond milk, grind your own flour. So we'll talk about that.
A quart of this is about 20 cents. A quart of rice milk at the store would be about $2 to $3.
So quite the difference. Okay, so I am measuring out. I have all my dry ingredients already measured out in my bowl. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm adding my shortening in there. And so basically, if you didn't want to do this in a mixer, you could use a pastry blend to combine them together. But basically you want like a coarse, crumbly meal. And so I have my shortening, and then I'll actually add the same amount of shortening as applesauce. And so I add those at the same time.
And why do you do that?
Because they both kind of act as the same, and so I just add them in together.
So applesauce, what does it do?
Applesauce sometimes is a good replacement for butter in recipes, so if you're dairy-free, it's a great alternative. You have to be careful, sometimes it will make recipes runny, and so it's just kind of an experiment to see if it will work or not. So
what's nice about the applesauce as well is it makes it nice and moist. Oftentimes with gluten-free recipes, the flours, especially rice, will draw out the moisture and it will really take it in. Consequently, with applesauce, it gives it a nice moist density to the product. So
okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and combine this. You'll want to start out on a low speed and then work your way up. Sorry, I got excited there. You may need to even scrape the sides. Okay, so let me just show you. Basically, you should have just like a crummy mixture where it's just kind of crumbly, and you've got your butter all mixed in and everything. So now what we're going to do is turn the mixer back on. We're going to slowly add in our rice and apple cider vinegar. And the reason why we did that is because it's kind of making a mock buttermilk. And so
I was just going to ask her that. I thought it was like buttermilk, so it's mock buttermilk.
Yeah.
I like it.
So when you're dairy-free, you know, this is what you have to do. But if you're not dairy-free, you can use normal milk and do the apple cider, and it will create a good buttermilk for you.
Or sour rice milk? I don't know what you call it if it's not buttermilk.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys can think of that. Post below what you think it should be called.
Okay, so I'm going to start to slowly mix this in. It's going to start to combine, and I want to have it really well combined, but I don't want to overmix it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my pan. This can kind of get a little bit sticky. And so basically it's kind of a delicate manner because you want to keep your air pockets in your biscuits as much as possible.
What was that secret you were telling me about baking powder? Or baking powder, right?
Applesauce?
I don't know. I thought there was something, yeah, maybe it's with the air pockets. You want to keep it fluffy because otherwise if you squish it down too much, I don't know.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a handful of this mix and I'm just going to kind of shape it into a biscuit. And it's sticky, but it's not so bad that will be, you know, annoying. But you just go ahead and you take that and put it onto your pan. And so depending on what size you want, they may take more or less time. And depending on what size you want, it will also depend on how many biscuits this recipe yields for you.
I'm pretty excited about the biscuits. This is good.
A little trick is you can dip your finger in water if you want, kind of smooth them out. But I'm just kind of doing it quickly here because we don't have much time. Okay, so I've finished now with my biscuits, putting them onto the pan and then kind of just touching them up a little bit. So I have those ready to put into the oven. You're going to be doing this at 500 degrees, and that's not a typo. Your oven needs to be preheated. And the reason why we're cooking at such a higher temperature is because the rice browns at a higher temperature, and so all the ingredients together, they just turn out better. So don't be afraid of that 500 degrees. So we'll go ahead and put them into the oven, and then about 10 minutes later we'll pull them back out. Okay, so we've gone ahead and let our biscuits cool just slightly, and so we're going to let Dr. Nelson taste test these for us.
I'm excited. They have a slight crispy crust on the outside, and it's just very nice and moist on the inside, very soft. You can then go ahead and eat them without, you know, honey or butter. I'm just going to go ahead and try it without anything. I'm just excited.
How is it?
Wonderful. I mean, honestly, amazing. I'm Dr. Nilsson. It's so good to have you.
I'm Jolene. Thanks for watching. This is don'teatwheat.com.